Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 23 of Shakin Hands. I'm your host, Jack Moran. Today on the podcast, we have David Carrasco, the founder or former VP of Bluefúria.
Yes, that's correct.
And also a partner of Charlotte Connects.
Yes.
I made it through that somehow.
Oh, yeah, no hiccups there, right?
A little hiccup. All right, so tell me a little bit. Let's get started. What are you doing right now? What projects are you working on? Where are you at right now in your entrepreneurial journey?
You're right. Yeah, I mean, life's a journey, but right now there's a couple of things in the works. Fortunately, met a lot of really great people at the beginning of the year. Got connected with Patrick, a couple other guys, Manny, Jorge. So initially I was doing a lot of networking events, and then ran into a lot of people that were trying to do more than just what the status quo is for a city. I mean, as you noticed, a lot of people are moving into our city, and fortunately I did get to meet Alex as well, and we were looking to do something different, and this is kind of where the CLT Connects came into place right now. I guess we're like a month in now, right? About a month in. And I'm looking forward to continue to see that growth, bring people from all walks of life, trying to bring some type of centralized point where people can identify themselves with, and then being introduced to the city that's constantly growing. So that's just one of the things that I like to get myself involved with is community. And as you mentioned earlier, I was the former VP of Bluefúria. It was another opportunity that presented to myself a couple of years ago whenever the team started, and
What team?
Charlotte FC. So, I'm a big soccer fanatic, and it was one of those moments I was like, this would be a good opportunity to jump in, and now we're 500 plus members. Something I've now recently delegated a lot because we're doing this rotation where we can, have new people be represented, feel like they have a voice as well. So we have new presidents and vice presidents. So a lot of the responsibilities have been delegated.
What is the company? What does it do?
It's a nonprofit. It's Bluefúria. We just want to, bring a sense of community, integrate the culture of our, background to the domestic culture here, and identify as something unique in our own. Because I think that's what's been long overdue. Again, I'm native. I know a lot of background here, but I'm native from Charlotte. I've grew up here most of my life, and it's one of those things I have never had the opportunity or privilege to just have a group of my culture or people from South and Central America gathered together outside of going out the bars and stuff like that. But now this was another opportunity in sports, and I was like, this is perfect. Let's do it. So now that delegating that, my next focus is now going into the NA beverages. So NA space, non-alcoholics, and that's just something I'll start providing more information of soon, hopefully in the next month or so.
So what's that brand? What's that called?
Okay, so the brand's going to be called Altura. So the idea of this brand is to bring something what currently exists today, right? Everybody knows about alcohol, beer, wines, different things that give you that social buzz you're seeking. This brand, what I'm hoping to do here is not only just be another alternative that we're currently seeing in the market now, but also just bring it to my community. I'd love to see, them to understand, there are other ways or there are other things that you can do that you're not going to feel the side effects that you could with alcohol, the hangovers, sometimes when you overdo it, your liver, other side effects that everybody's known about the alcohol. So this will be a nice alternative that I think the market's starting to take really well, and we'd like to introduce it to new communities like my own.
So what's your rollout plan for that product? Are you going to bring it to the market?
Yeah, I'm hoping to bring it first here in our city in Charlotte. The product is being produced here locally in the state, and hopefully to start out with a lot of activations. Again,
Activations, what do you mean by that?
Just doing events, going to have friends that have locations around the city that are open to the idea. Just trying to bring community together. Again, it's just something I've learned with the other ventures that I, was part of. And I think that's something that can easily carry over with how you roll something out like this as well. So just community based. You start out with that, and then, you learn and grow, go from there.
So you keep repeating this word community. What is community to you?
Community, I think I would say is People who are like-minded, people who, you know, share same values as you, people that feel represented and feeling at home. And again, I think that's something I felt like, at least from my cultural background, lacked here in the city, because there wasn't many places you can go where you can find that sense of community. Now, again, our community, our Latin culture here has been growing pretty exponentially, and now we're finding things. You're finding owners that are Latinos. You're starting to see new cuisines come into our city. I think recently there was an article in Axios, right, where they were naming Yunta as what, like the number one cuisine spot, and it happens to be on Peruvian. So really proud of that. And then there's also another Latin cuisine coming up soon. So it's just beautiful to see, and I just wanted to be part of that because, again, I feel like this is my home. I've grew up here, and want to put, you know, some aspect of myself here.
What do you think is the key to bringing a community together and bringing people together?
I think the biggest thing is people have to identify with your product, your brand, your idea. If that's not the first thing you tackle, then it's just one of those hard things to gather people together. A lot of things like the soccer world, people relate because they know how they've done it in their countries when they go to the stadium, how they become fans, what's the traditions, what are the things that you do prior to games or during games. And a lot of those are shared commonalities no matter what country you're from, especially in South and Central America. And that's the first thing we've noticed when we were building this group out. So I think that's one of those strong points that you harnessed when you're trying to build community and you're trying to, build that out as far as the brand or whatever you're trying to do.
So you say that it has a lot of Latin influence from the Latin culture.
Yeah.
What are kind of the unique twists that you guys have put on your specific community that make it different from other communities? Like, what are the main values that you would say represent your community?
Yeah, so at least for the city perspective, we're bringing a lot of cultural things that we do for matches here in Charlotte. So that was the first thing that stood us out, at least amongst the others existing supporter groups, is that our core is, the music, the chants, the style of how we want to fan within the field and outside the field, and how people gather together even outside of games. I mean, me growing up again here, it was a big missing piece in my culture as well, because I didn't get to experience that. A lot of the people who were coming from, the other countries and now making this their home. So it was really cool to see us trade ideas and understanding and cultures, because I think that was the point, really, is to identify with what you've brought from your company or your culture to what you want to integrate here domestically. So I think that's what makes us different.
So what are your day-to-day responsibilities?
Well, when I was there as a vice president for the first 2 years, I was really trying to keep a strong foundation, right? For my responsibility at the beginning was trying to build some type of structure where people can be able to like take over those roles whenever that individual can no longer do it. So for instance, like, we needed to make sure we had a treasury, right? Sure, like, there's some type of structure to keep documentations, all the collaborations work that we do. Like, there needs to be some type of template or a way to a standardization in order for this to continue to succeed. So that was kind of my first responsibilities.
More operational,
understanding how to create like membership programs, and like, what do the memberships get? Like, but you work this collaboratively, right? You bring in the ideas that you learn from your job or other businesses you have, but at the end of the day, in order for that to continue to proceed and like improve or even like be well received, you have to get insights from other people and what they may think would work best or not. You know as much as you do until you open yourself up. So those are the kind of things that you do as far as responsibilities when we first started this as a vice president. And then obviously just show presence all the time, show presence in everything you do, and bring value to those people that are actually paying memberships for your group, and just make an impact for your community.
Gotcha. And so what is your strategy? And this is something that I am not very good at. Mm-hmm. You say you come from more of an operational background. Mm-hmm. How do you take like the strategy of the company and the goals of the company and the big picture goals and implement those operationally into actionable, executable plans in the day-to-day?
Yeah. Well, to be sincere, with at least the Bluefúria, it was trial and error, man. Like, some people receive some type of structure, but to a certain limit, right? Like, again, culturally, you see that in how we do things. As far as like structuring when things happen, that sometimes it takes a lot for people to be accepting of. So you just got to know what works and what doesn't. And when you start seeing things that do receive well, then just continue to build on that. And that's what I would say is how we would, did the structure that we did.
Do you see that there are differences between business in the Latin culture versus
Oh yeah,
culture?
100%. I mean, there's things that you do with good intentions, right? I mean, there's things that we, from a risk adverse standpoint, right? I feel like our culture here in the States is what we try to do with everything we do, right? But sometimes that could be taken personally or just be looked at so different from like the Latin culture. And you just got to understand like, hey, look at both perspectives. Are you doing way too much than you need to? Are you going too far to the T? Because then again, sometimes that pushes people back from wanting to do anything at all. So you just got to know how to balance things. And that was the biggest, I'd say, learning lesson, like as we continue to build this group up.
So how did you get into this? Like, what was the introduction into your journey?
Into the journey with Bluefúria. Yeah, so I had a buddy named Guillermo Carrillo. He a buddy of mine for years. I know him since college. He was actually told by another friend of ours, Vikingo, who wanted to start a supporters group because he saw that there wasn't really something that was speaking to the South American culture. And he just, he's always known, I guess, my type of work or how I was. And he was just like, hey, look, starting something out. Would you like to be part of it? I was like, dude, of course, 100%. I'm a huge soccer fanatic, but I saw it as an opportunity to also learn about other cultures within the community that I'm part of. And why not? So that's how I got started. Buddy of mine here. And then I looked at all the responsibilities that we wanted to do. And I was just like, I'll take on the operational standpoint. Like, I feel like I have a better sense of that and I'll learn from everything else that comes through. So are you still working on that project today or not as much or? Not as involved. Again, I've delegated a lot of responsibilities. Fortunately, again, we had a really huge, well-responsive community building. I mean, again, it's not only Central and South American representations that we have. I mean, a lot of people love what we do, and domestically also we have people that help us out. So I was able to delegate a lot of things right now. Currently, I'm more of a supportive role. Like I talk directly both to the president, vice president that we currently have today, and anything that we had lessons learned. I mean, we don't want them to create the same mistakes. So we just, let them know. We have sessions once a week or whenever they want to just contact us, they can, and give them advice so they can continue to grow.
So where does the rest of your focus go now, day to day? Have you freed up some time?
Yeah, I've freed up a lot of time now, and I wanted to, again, find a way that I can be more impactful. I feel like there's a lot of opportunities here in our city, and that's kind of where this networking group started. But also, I saw an opportunity with the beverage space. I mean, I'm starting to lean in towards that because I feel like there's a potential and future to it. I think it's addressing a long time need. I mean, at least for my instance, sometimes you want to go socialize, you don't want to have alcohol because sometimes of the pitfalls with the hangovers and all that. So that's kind of, now I'm transitioning more on that focus on my end.
Have you ran into any adversity building this company or?
Not yet. I feel like I'm in the beginning stages of it all. Again, it's a whole new thing. When I first started also supporting Bluefúria and the build up and all that, you don't know what you're getting yourself into, and sometimes it's just a lot, and you're like, why? You keep answering yourself like, why? But then you remember your why, and you're like, okay, this is the passion that I have for my community, passion for this sport, and you keep pushing through. I think that's the same thing that may happen here. I'm starting to grow a really good fun of like, hey, there's other things that I could be taking for socializing. Why not? Like, I'm starting to really understand the market about better, and I think I'm going through that same process that I did with Bluefúria.
What lessons did you learn from Bluefúria that you're applying now to this new business venture?
Oh man, it's a good question. Just be a little bit more cautious. Again, it's good to be flexible, but I know what's tried and true, at least for me, with structure, and just to continue to have that along the way.
It's a very operational mindset.
Yes, it's something I'm known that has worked for me for years. So yeah, just continue to just be cautious about what I open myself up to, and then just continue to work forward with something that's been tried and true.
Yeah, and so you said like finding your why. What is your why?
The why. That's, again, I feel like a lot of people ask themselves that sometime in their life, and the why is just because of what keeps you up at night or makes you want to wake up early. I think that's a key that I've learned, at least in my life, is to say, hey, like there's something I'm shooting for, something I'm working towards, and once you find that, it's just a bit of an addiction, and just, it's just it's hard to stop. Like, you just want to always constantly work for it. So that's kind of the itch. When you find your why, you get that itch, and you want to continue to put your effort into that.
Well, how do you define success? What is success for you?
Success is wherever your happy space is, and you're pushing to always grow and progress. I think that's kind of.
What is it for you though? Like specifically, like if you look around the room and you see this, what, and you look and you see these specific variables,
mm-hmm.
What will it be that will make you feel like you are successful?
Man, for me, success would be to just have more time, to do other things outside of work. I mean, I have a family as well. I have a 2-year-old, and I've been married with my wife for 5 years, and I want to continue to find more time with my family. I think that's the end of the goal, being able to, I'd say, not depend on other people to an extent, just be able to build something on your own, really. That's kind of what I would say would be the ultimate goal there.
How do you balance family life and business life?
It's tough, man. There's days you just try to, break out. You say, hey, on, Wednesdays or Thursdays are days that I'll have to build, work on this or have meetings for that. You just got to build a schedule. I mean, again, just some type of process that you guys can work together, where she would have her days, I'll have my days, and we can do stuff together as well.
What kind of advice would you give to someone who maybe is not as organized to get their life?
Well, I'd say that's me. I mean, sometimes I feel like I'm a disorganized mess, and I would say most people that know me directly would think the same. I think once you find the why, or once you find interest in things, I think it becomes a lot easier to build some type of structure. I did learn a couple of things back in the day during my work, like in the office and everything that I worked. There's like this 4-square thing that you put together, and you put things like you've completed and things that you want to complete, and then just give your time frame of when you want to complete things. So like having some type of structure in that sense, I think will help you progress and being more organized, just being consistent in what you do. So
are there any habits that you have instilled in your day-to-day life that have resulted in you being more productive or happier?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think growing up, I would say I've tried to stay structured, but there's things you just learn along the way. So as long as I was continuing to develop that and grow that, I think that makes my life a lot easier. It's just to continue to find ways to be more effective or efficient and have structure in your day to day.
What's something that you didn't know when you first ventured down this path that you wish you knew that you know now?
Honestly, there's just what I learned. Are you talking about from like the Bluefúria days, or just in general? Just
in general. Like, what have you learned along your through your life that you wish you knew like a couple of years ago? What's like biggest aha that you've picked up on, or biggest insight that's like been beneficial to you that you wish you knew before?
Yeah, I'd say, in the younger years, you care a lot what others say, which is kind of silly. Now that you get a little bit older, you see, when you're focused and you want to do things that you actually like, not everybody's going to be on the same page, man. Some friends that you had in the past will align to it, but some won't, and they may be your closest friends. And so, like, I think that was a kind of a big revealing moment when I knew it really didn't matter what others think about what I'm going after or what I'm doing, because at the end of the day, they're not doing it. I mean, someone who's built a business would never judge you for just starting one small thing here and there and it going bad or not. They've gone through the same things. I mean, an athlete won't judge you for training every day because they've gone through it. So like people who've reached those levels, they have a different perspective and they see what you've done because they've done it themselves. So you just got to be open to that. You got to be open to things and people that will judge you, and just keep moving forward because it's something you want.
How do you deal with how do you separate yourself from the emotion of that judgment and keep plummeting forward despite what other people think?
It's tough, man. I'm sure a lot of people struggle with it. I've struggled with it when I was younger. I want to attribute ability to do that is because when I was younger, I did referee soccer as well. I've saw different aspects of the sport, but my dad got me really into it really young. I think around 13, 14 years old, I started refereeing. Dude, you learn so many things, behavioral things, like, and you got to be able to think quick on your feet. Like, it's insane. And so, like, those things you do carry with yourself in life. And I think that's what made it easier for me to be able to understand, okay, all the things that I went through there, like, how do you make it applicable? Yeah, like, people are going to have emotions, like, but you got to know how to, like, work through that in order to get through the next, point that you're trying to get to. So, yeah.
What behavioral things did you learn?
Oh, my God, dude. Like, yeah, no. So again, in sports, right? When you're making a call, you got to know why you're making that call. You got to know how to, like, people are going to be chewing at your ear. You need to know how to deal with that. And then the actual person that wants to understand exactly what happened in play. So you got to be able to articulate exactly what happened, make quick, sound decisions, but enough for them to understand it emotionally, especially if they're level-headed. And then usually those individuals that you're talking to, those are the captains. Those are the guys that actually talk to their teammates, and then things can cool off. I mean, it doesn't work like that every single time, but those are I think things that I've learned from a behavioral standpoint. Like,
sounds just like running a business.
Yeah, exactly. So these small little things that happen in life, man, like, sometimes you start realizing, oh, this is things that I've experienced and things I want to continue doing, and see kind of what your full potential may be from it, So
before we wrap up here, like, what would be like some final advice that you would give to someone listening to this that maybe wants to journey into entrepreneurship or chase their passions or do something different than they're doing right now that's not as fulfilling for them?
Yeah, I mean, dude, you're hitting every single point that felt. Yeah, I think you summarized exactly what I've been going through. But dude, yeah, I think it's first understanding not to care what others really think, man. If there's something really you care about and you're driven to do, just go for it. You'll have your support system, man. There's good people out there that will have your back, and I think that's really another strong base to have. I mean, I unfortunately have a really strong circle while I go through the good and sometimes the bad, and internally, externally, all that. So I'd say that, man. Like, I think that's the biggest life lesson for me, is just not caring, and then being consistent. And I think that'll push you a lot further to what you want to do and what your passions are.
Well, appreciate it. Yeah. Is there, if anyone wants to, like, reach out to you, ask you any questions, or even, like, join one of your communities, where can they find you?
Cool. Yeah. So from a community standpoint, CLT Connects, again, we just had our first event this past week or so. Connect with us there if you're really interested in the networking aspect. If you have more questions directly with me, the things that I've done, things I've experienced, they're the things that we just talked about. You can find me on Instagram at _D Carrasco. So that's CARRASCO. That's my personal Instagram. So if you guys want to follow me, it's over there.
All right, brother. Well, I appreciate you coming out.
Yeah, thank you for having me, man. Appreciate it.
It was a pleasure.
Yeah, of course. You too.
All right, guys. Well, that concludes this episode of Shakin' Hands. I'm your host, Jack Moran. If you like what you heard today, please continue listening. And if you got any questions, suggestions that you want for guests, or questions that you want to be asked, don't hesitate to reach out. But otherwise, we'll see you next time. Thanks.
Appreciate it.